I'm John Gibson, that cowboy guy, and welcome to my how to play video for my new board game, Infection, Humanity's Last Gasp, published by Victory Point Games.
James Franklin, patient zero, collapses after stepping off of a plane from the Congo at JFK International Airport. He is rushed to Forest Hills Hospital, where he is placed in an isolation ward. It is quickly discovered he has Morbazian, a constantly mutating virus that is resistant to all known antivirals. The survival of humanity itself is at stake. In Infection, Humanity's Last Gasp, you are the director of the Department of Plague Control Field Office in New York City. You make the decisions about what parts of the virus to study, which personnel to hire, and what equipment to purchase. You'll soon discover you are working with a rather eccentric group of scientists who don't always work well together, and one very resourceful lab rat named Marvin. As the casualties increase, so does the stress and mistakes made as you try to complete your vaccine before time runs out for all of mankind. So what's in the box? One full-color 24-page rules book with a player aid on the back, a 11 by 17 mounted jigsaw-cut double-sided game board, 50 cards of 3 types, 77 thick double-sided multi-shaped game tokens, and 1 6-sided die. The game board has 2 sides for 2 levels of difficulty: bacterial, which is easy, and viral, which is hard. The player should initially start with the bacterial side, and then switch to the viral side when they feel they have the hang of infection. Both sides have the same basic layout. The left side of the board contains the death toll track, the virus area, the funding track, and the incubator. The right side of the board displays the vaccine area. The death toll track marks how many deaths the virus has caused and when the game ends. The virus area is a 19-hex area where the virus is displayed. This is where you'll be placing the round molecule game tokens. The funding track shows the funds that you currently have available to spend on proteins, lab equipment, and lab personnel. The incubator is comprised of 4 spaces, each with a different cost: 0, 1, 2, and 4. The available proteins to harvest for the current turn are displayed in these 4 spaces. The vaccine area contains the 12 possible antibodies that can be researched to combat the virus. Each antibody matches a molecule on the virus. This is the area where you'll be placing the square protein game tokens. The game's 77 game pieces are used to create and mutate the virus, create the antibodies to defeat the virus, and track the status of the death toll track and funding track. Molecules are the basic building blocks of the virus. They come in 3, 4, and 5 protein configurations. Proteins are the basic building blocks of the vaccine. There are 5 different proteins that can be used to create the antibodies. There are 16 protein pieces, and in the corner of each piece it tells you how many there are of each piece. The double-sided funding marker is placed on the funding track to indicate the amount of available funds. One side has the symbol for funds, while the other side has a symbol and a +10 to allow for funds to be reaching the cap of 20. There are 12 special event tokens, 6 with positive effects and 6 with negative effects. These will be mixed in amongst the molecule tokens. There are 16 personnel power tokens that are placed on the personnel cards when you hire them. More on them later. There are 3 different types of cards used in the game: status report cards, lab equipment cards, and lab personnel cards. There are 31 status report cards that are used to potentially mutate the virus and alter gameplay each turn. They can increase the size or change the complexity of the virus based on the mutation section. The lab section can have positive or negative impacts on the lab personnel or lab equipment cards, depending upon the status report card drawn. The final section of the status report cards, the death section, can have impact on the progression on the death toll track. Some status report cards will have a continuous effect, marked by a clock symbol in the corner. Each status report card is unique. There are 12 lab equipment cards, and they are used in the aid of researching and creating of antibodies to target the virus. There are 6 sets with 2 cards per set. Owning both identical cards in a set guarantees your equipment will work successfully. You can have as many lab equipment cards as you can afford. Each one has a cost that must be paid out of the funding track. There are 3 levels of equipment: Mark 1, Mark 2, and Mark 3. Lab personnel cards are also used to provide aid in defeating the virus. Each one has a cost that must be paid out of the funding track. Some personnel benefit from working together, while others cannot work in the same lab at all. Follow these steps to set up the game. Place the board in front of you. Place the bacterial side for playing the easy level of the game, and the viral side up for the hard level of the game. Place the death toll marker on the death toll track, and place the funding marker on the funding track. Place the marker on the 5 space with the 10 side face up. Draw one molecule at random and place it in the center hex of the virus area, A1, face up. Randomly select 6 more molecules and place them face up on the hexes in the middle ring, B1 through B6. This is your starting virus. Divide the special event tokens into 2 piles, one for 6 positive tokens, blue, and the other for 6 negative tokens, red. Mix these piles separately and then draw 2 tokens from each and add them to the molecule pool. Set aside the 8 remaining special event tokens, as they will not be used during the playthrough. Shuffle the status report cards and place them face down to the left of the game board, below the molecule pool. Take all the square protein pieces and place them in a second cup to create your protein pool. Then draw 1 token at a time and place 1 in each of the 4 incubator spots, 0, 1, 2, and 4, starting with 0. These will be the 4 proteins available for you to harvest on your first turn. Shuffle the lab equipment and lab personnel cards together and place them face down to the right of the game board to create your lab deck. Then, without looking at them, draw the top 5 cards and set them aside. You will not use these cards during this playthrough of the game. Now draw the next 3 cards and place them face up next to the lab deck. These will be the cards available for you to hire or buy in your first turn. Take the 4 status report card tokens, 4 harvest extra protein tokens, 4 additional lab equipment use tokens, and the 4 containment check tokens and place them near the lab deck. Now we're ready to play. Now let's discuss the sequence of play. A turn represents a round of play. Each turn consists of a number of phases conducted in the order that follows. Status report phase. You must flip over the top card of the status report deck and perform, if possible, its actions. Then place the card face up beside the deck, and this will create your discard pile. Player action phase. You can now perform a series of actions in any order you wish in order to research and create the vaccine. Containment phase. You will roll a die to determine if you can stay in the same space or advance to the next space on the death toll track. Cleanup phase. Reset all the components in preparation for the next turn. Repeat the sequence, playing all the turns required to finish the game.
This ends part 1 of my 2-part walkthrough video for Infection, Humanity's Last Gasp.